Good evening. I will call the Finance Committee meeting to order on November 20th, 2023 at 7 p.m. We have one item on the agenda this evening. It's order number 23-100-9003. Communication from Mayor Vigent together with the proposed tax increment finance agreement with Sartorius Steedham North America Incorporated at 200 Donald Lynch Boulevard. I will begin by reading the letter submitted by the mayor. Honorable President Ossing and councilors, I'm requesting your review and approval of an enclosed tax increment financing agreement with Sartorius Steedham North American Incorporated. Sartorius is a global biopharmaceuticals company providing bioprocess solutions, lab products, and services that support safe manufacturing in the biotech industry. Currently, Sartorius employs 100 individuals at 2 locations in Marlborough, 150 Locke Drive and 450 Donald Lynch Boulevard. They arrived in Marlborough in 2020 and have made a $135 million investment in these 2 locations. They are seeking a local-only TIF incentive that will help them unlock credits with the Mass Life Science Center. Their plans include approximately a $100 million build-out of 200 Donald Lynch Boulevard, creating the Sartorius North American Center for Bioprocess Solutions that will bring 120 additional new full-time jobs to our community by the end of 2025. These new positions include lab manufacturing technicians, software developers, engineers, scientists, research analysts, and product specialists. Sartorius is a leading biopharmaceuticals company who is helping biotech scientists and engineers across the entire globe to safely develop and manufacture medications. Enclosed for your review are the following. 1, preliminary application from the Commonwealth of Mass. 2, intent to apply. 3, draft resolution. And 4, the TIF agreement. And at this point, I will bring Maurice up if you would like to do your introduction, please. Oh, thank you, Director Harris. Thank you. Good evening.
Good evening, everybody. Thank you very much. Oops, sorry. Thanks for having us along. And my name is Maurice Phelan. I am president of Sartorius Steedham North America. Just sort of a little bit of background. I have ties to Marlborough. I began my career actually 13 years ago with GE, so I was actually responsible for the facility over on Locke Drive and driving the project which built up on Results Way before I left GE. So I'm a big fan, just to give you sort of my umbrella statement of everything that you do to attract us, attract life science and pharma businesses here. And we continue to do that. So I joined in 2018, Sartorius. I ran a very small lab in Cambridge, Mass, 7 people in there. We now have 4, if you include the one we're talking about tonight, 4 projects in Marlborough. Locke Drive, 450 Donald Lynch, the build-out at 200, and we just have warehouse operations up on Elm Street as well. So we are extremely committed to the community and the city. In terms of, I sent you probably more information than you need, but please, if you have any questions, let me know. But in brief, Sartorius, 60 worldwide locations, approximately $4.5 billion in revenue. 40% of that is U.S. revenue, and interestingly, of the 16,000 global employees we have 2,000 employees in the U.S., about 800 in Puerto Rico, who are actually managing 40% of our business. So the reason it's our highest growth and largest market, so the reason we're doing what we're doing is to drive our business forward with all of the customers who you know well, Sanofi, Moderna, Amgen, Novartis, the usual suspects. We're very excited about the project down on Locke Drive, particularly because it gives us an opportunity to bring research and development, engineering and science, and actually product development all together with one additional concept, which is a GMP manufacturing space on the ground floor, which is going to take care of advanced therapies, so cell therapy, gene therapy that you hear about an awful lot actually on the news almost every evening. We have it's a big problem for startup companies to actually get product made for clinical trials, and so that's what we're going to do down there. And it's really cool work, and I look forward to having you all actually down to the opening when we get that done early next year. Yeah, we're going to be manufacturing, we're going to be doing product development down there, and so it's really important to us. We began the project in my first conversation on this project, by the way, was really with respect to just putting some labs in there and taking a small portion. It grew and it grew to the size and scale that we have now. We're looking at the full second floor and part of the first floor of that building, approximately 62,000 square feet. All in, our investment will be about 100 million in the operation down there. We have 217 mass-based employees, and we will have, by the end and full launch of this project, 120 employees down there in various disciplines. You know, I'm delighted to answer any kind of questions you might have, and I'm sure you guys know this is a remarkable project for me. Firstly, I've only been in this role since January. However, considering the challenges that a lot of healthcare, life science companies are having right now, just sort of stabilizing after COVID, the fact that we're making such a large investment, I hope tells you a lot about what our commitment to the community. So thank you for inviting us. Thank you for considering this application, and I'm thrilled to answer any questions you might have tonight.
Thank you. Well, thank you. I'll open that up to the Finance Committee first and then the full council. Councilor Brown.
Thank you, Chair Irish. I am the Ward 4 councillor, and so Lock Drive and a lot of Donald Lynch Boulevard are part of my ward. So I reviewed the TIF agreement very carefully, and I really like the agreement the way it's written. I really didn't see anything that I have questions about. Just some of the things that stood out to me is it's a 5-year agreement, and the number of employees that you would be bringing in, it looks like it would be happening more immediately than toward the end of the TIF agreement. Like once you make your investments and do your build, it sounds like you'd be ready to hire. So that was very interesting to me. And just from what you said about your love for the community, that I really love that, and was just wondering that as you've been here in Marlborough and continue to be in Marlborough, what are some ways that your company might engage with the community?
Of course. So I think at least, I'm not sure if I should.
It's fine.
It's okay.
Yes.
Well, so I just recently got asked to join the EDIB board. So
The MEDC board.
Oh, okay.
oh yeah, sorry.
That's okay. That's
So
That's
so
the state board. That's right.
yeah, I'm absolutely delighted to do that. But above and beyond that, I think we did a kind of a PSA this year for the city, or with others, with Comcast as well. We are very, very kind of active in STEM promotion. And so Meredith and I spoke a little bit about this, and certainly I have with my team. Traditionally, our headquarters was in New York, and honestly, there's been quite a bit of not investment, but charitable and sort of community-based spending done in that area. And because of where our mass is now, I certainly am going to take some of that bring it up here, and we've already talked internally about doing some STEM scholarships.
That's wonderful. I'm an educator, so
Oh, okay.
anything that speaks to education and, you know, helping students, that's huge for me. I also,
Can just add to that too,
Absolutely.
just briefly, just want to say when we talk to companies and we consider which ones we're going to, recommend for these types of incentives, we don't take it lightly. And Maurice and his team at Sartorius, whenever we pick up the phone to make a call of we need help with X, they always answer. They're always, ready to jump in. You all probably saw the commercial that we shot recently to help attract employees to the city. They were first in line, ready to help us out with that.
wonderful.
So it's been a really good relationship over the past several years that we look forward to continuing in the future.
That's awesome. Thank you, Meredith. So just to wrap it up, I would be in favor of this. I think it also speaks well to, the buildup of life sciences in our city with this biopharmaceuticals company. So I would support this. Thank you.
Thank you, Councilor Brown. Councilwoman.
First and foremost, we didn't pay our heat bill, I think. That's why it's so cold in this room. But welcome to City Hall, even though we're freezing everyone out of here tonight. But that does happen when someone forgets to put the heat on maybe an hour or two before. But when you first started in Marlborough, what attracted you to Marlborough?
The first thing, to be honest with you, was as I said, I was running an operation in Cambridge, and if you can imagine the highest price per square foot that for a commercial space and double it, that's what people are paying in there. So the first thing was, how do we actually realize the investment we're trying to make at a reasonable sort of overhead, because these projects take so long to build. Secondly, it didn't, I had flashbacks to my GE days where everybody was so helpful. But the mayor and the team and Meredith and the team and the way they're connected in through, all of the sort of state bodies was just it was really great. And it made it so easy for us to actually go and pitch this, because we did have to pitch it in Germany. And FYI, I suppose it's worthwhile saying, some of the other kind of places that were being talked about were Ann Arbor, Michigan, right beside University of Michigan, where we have some installations, and certainly Seaport, but this was by far the sort of overwhelming choice. And that's for 150 Lock Drive. And then look what happened afterwards. So 150, 450 was an acquisition. We doubled down on our size there, and this one. So I would say it's the team and it's the engagement of the city officials, but it also works, because otherwise we wouldn't be on project number 4 here.
And it's good to hear we're more competitive than Cambridge is in that respect.
Yeah, I mean, I can't imagine. People just are. I mean, I'm quite sure that some of the issues that you're hearing about around companies folding, has really to do with some of the overhead those guys are carrying in there.
And we can't compete with them with water and sewer. We offer that, obviously, but what we do have that maybe they don't have in Cambridge is excellent access to the highways, where you might spend a little more time trying to get into Cambridge. But it's good to hear, we're seeing more and more high-tech industry moving into Marlborough, which is the biotech as well, and so it's great to see that you've landed here in Marlborough as well. I always say we are the star on the Massachusetts map, in my view, for our location, for our water, for our sewer. You don't have to worry of any of those things. They're here. We're very lucky and very fortunate. And with that, obviously, we have people in Marlborough that are always looking for employment. I know MEDC does have the employment fair. I know STEM programs are very important in our schools. What type of support have you offered to STEM programs?
So we began an effort a couple of years ago to really stand up and define our diversity, equity, inclusion, and sort of belonging, as we now say, program. You know, we're a big company, and we needed to step forward. So we identified a couple of areas that we were going to first focus on. Number one was, and this might have, you know, because we have a headquartered company, global headquarters in Europe, in Germany, we certainly focused on, I would say, LGBTQ and making sure that we clearly kind of got in front of, with our employee resource groups, that group in our company, and made sure they were, you know, made sure that we were open, made sure everyone felt like they belonged, got at some of the programs that actually communicated that out. The other one that we are very, very focused on, and you'll see it in some of our corporate stuff, is we're very focused on what I would say is gender equality at senior levels in the company. Typical German company was extremely male heavy, and this year we brought our first lady divisional head on our lab business into the our executive board of directors, which was a first of all time. And so that drills down from her, and she's like, you guys need to not do anybody any favors, but we need to make sure we get a spotlight on high potential ladies and working women in this company, and make sure they get what they need. On top of that, she's a doctor, and she's like, I want a double down focus on engineering, mathematics, and, you know, technical competency. And I want it in the places that we are. I don't want us saying it in an investor presentation. I want us to be doing stuff. And when I'm coming to see you, I'm going to be asking you, what are you doing? And I want you to do it in the communities that you're present in. So
That's welcome. That's welcoming news as well, and especially now that you're here, and I support what you want to do here to expand and to help our city, but to help yourself as well. Hopefully there'll be openings and open doors within our school systems at the secondary level, such as our high school, AMSA, with the STEM programs, because I read here that, you know, if you're qualified and a Marlborough resident, but the word qualified, so what do we need to do to get our residents qualified? Understandably so, you wrote engineers, you have software technicians, but you also have other technician software experts. So having you here, I think it will help our student population understand what they need to be training in.
yes,
To get into jobs like yours, because if they're not qualified, unfortunately, Marlborough will lose out, and you'll have to look for employees elsewhere.
exactly.
So, you know,
If I can
understand,
add to
yes.
that too, we have a couple different work-based learning programs that we're
Glad you
currently
did.
running in partnership with Marlborough Public Schools, that we've talked to Maurice and his team about prior, that I'm sure that they'd be happy to explore that with us and get involved if it makes the right fit for everybody.
That's great. And I'm sure our students would love to know what the salaries are too, so that
Yeah.
way they can work towards those salaries. Because in your industry, I'm sure it's not low-income salaries, you know, it's probably competitive salaries.
Yeah,
Yeah,
it's quite competitive. of
And they'll
course.
jump them up to the colleges. Massachusetts, we have a lot of colleges. That's where Cambridge wins out a little bit, in Boston, but they may want to come back and live in Marlborough, and I really would hope that we have enough qualified residents to be part of the employment that you're hiring. Obviously, that's the agreement, but they have to be qualified. So that's so important that we work towards, as MEDC, as Meredith just said, we're working towards, because if you can inspire them at the younger age, and they actually see an industry right here in Marlborough, I think that's a great start for, you know, keeping that commitment to trying to reach out to the qualified candidates. The only other, I will agree, Counselor Brown, it's important that they are doing a 5-year. I like the 5-year. 10 years, I think, is a long commitment to make, but your 5-year commitment seems very reasonable for what you're going to be doing with a $100 million investment. It did say here, after that, the TIF ends, and, you know, you don't have to follow the agreement to the finding qualified employees from Marlborough, but I hope that commitment stays there after the fact.
Yeah, I mean, honestly, you know, I've even spoken already with my recruiting team to get them up here and figure out a way to get into the high school so that we can start talking to, you know, people in programs there just to talk about what we are going to be doing. So I think, you know, we're definitely committed to that. It's better for us, by the way. The closer the folks we can bring in are to the community, the better it is for this business, the better it is for us to grow. And there's nothing better than at soccer games or community meetings or holiday events that are town-sponsored where people are talking about, hey, I got a job at Sartorius.
That's nice. That's great. And I think you're going places, because one of your mega trends in our target market is the growing and aging population.
Sure.
We are getting there, aren't we? And so that's great, because that's where, you know, the majority of us are going to be pretty soon. But then the majority of the Gen Zs, is it, are going to be taking over the workplace pretty soon. So, but again, I'm in favor of this because you're producing a product that we're going to gain from in the long run. So I'm in favor. Thank you for your answers to my questions.
Thank you, Councillor.
Thank you. Thank you both.
Thank you, Councilor. Councilor Navin?
Thank you, Mr. Chair. Just a point of order for Councilor Oram. We do have a competitive advantage over the City of Cambridge. We are a full-time MWA Water customer, whereas the City of Cambridge is not. They are a partial user, and I think we see that as reflective in the amount of businesses that we attract here. So a point of order for that, and just to thank you for your investment. Appreciate the amount of effort you're putting into not only the financial investment here, but also in the community itself. So thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you, Councilor Navin.
Well, I gotta add something there.
Councilor Landers?
I'm thrilled, as I mentioned, that people are joining us, you know. I want you to know that everybody except Councilor Irish and myself, graduates of Marlborough High School, so we're very, very supportive of education. And I was acting principal back in the 70s, so there's a lot of interest, and Meredith has been very good. So I can see you people being a real asset to the city. You know, I have a part-time job. I give tours of Marlborough, and I've already added you to the top of my list. I gave my wife a tour Sunday morning after church, so she knows all about you, and she likes how you can pull out of the parking lot on the Bigelow Street without getting involved in that intersection there. Good luck. Great having you.
Thanks so much.
Thank you, Councilor Landers. Yes, I'd like, Councilor Dumas.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. How are you tonight?
Great.
So just I want to make it clear in the letter, will you be keeping 150 Lock Drive and 450 Donald Lynch? So this is an additional location?
Yes.
So we're not relocating those employees to this?
No, these are
Okay.
all, I think except for 2 employees who are already on board, these are all new jobs,
Okay.
new roles created around
Perfect,
the new activities that we're building in the building.
perfect. I just was concerned about vacant space and tax roll and all that stuff. So I just want to make sure
Sure.
we can get as much taxes out of you as possible with as many locations that we can possibly can. But other than that, I'm glad to hear that you're making more of an investment in Marlborough. So I have no issues with this. But
Thank you.
Thank you, Councilor Dumas. Oh, Mr. President.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. So a couple of points. So why this is a good deal for the city of Marlborough, right? It fills a vacant building, which is very important that we want. It's only a 5-year TIF, right? Bringing in 120 people and they're bringing them on early. $100 million investment. So the building in itself, the value of that building to the city of Marlborough is going to increase, which is extremely important. What I call the intrinsic parts of this is expanding our life science pie in Marlborough, right? I mean, so why does Moderna come here? Why is Sartorius here? You know, Sanofi. Why do they want to be here? This is another great, so kudos to the mayor and the team in Meredith for working this out, but this is a big deal, getting something like this into the city. So I strongly encourage the Finance Committee to approve both the resolution and the TIF agreement. Thank you, Mr. Chairman.
Thank you, Mr. President. I echo those sentiments and definitely welcome and for you expanding here in the city of Marlborough. It is kind of like a biotech ecosystem now, and we're just going forward with it. So thank you very much for your investment. If no further discussions, I will entertain a motion.
Just want to sum up what our council president said. So ultimately, it is a good deal. Because yes, you will get a tax break for those 5 years and it gets reduced each year. But in the long run, when we're taxing your buildings, we're going to make up for it and then more.
Yep.
That's why I'm glad you're going to be staying too. But it's a win-win for you and for us. So with that, I would make a motion for the resolution and I believe the TIF.
Yes, so, and also I'll float this with the Finance Committee, if we would be thinking about having a suspension at our November 27th.
And I
meeting.
would add that to it
Okay,
too, a
so-
suspension as well.
Okay, so the motion would be to approve the city council resolution and the TIF agreement and have a suspension.
Yes, yes. So as stated.
Any further discussion? Seeing none, all in favor? It carries 4-0.
Move to adjourn?
Motion has been made and seconded to adjourn. We are adjourned at 7:26 PM.
Great.